our new Planet 4 system. So basically, the point of this session is to sort of present an overarching idea of what we might do with Planet 4, and then gather feedback. So as you know, we're running a bunch of these sessions. We want to get feedback from across the organization to refine the concept and iterate towards what we will do. And we really want everybody's participation because Greenpeace.org and all of our national and regional sites are really about all of us. So if you want to have a say, then now is the time to make your voice heard. We have surveys, we have webinars, we're going to make recordings out of this, so you can share with your colleagues all of the stuff that we have if you have other people that you think might be interested. And yeah, so before we get too deep into the ideas, I just want to make one quick note. A lot of the screens that you're going to see are designed for mobile. We intend that Planet 4 is going to be device agnostic, which basically means that no matter if you access from a laptop or a desktop or a mobile device, a tablet, the experience will go with you, remain the same. And we're sort of presenting the concept through the mobile lens first because it's kind of the hardest to think about, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to have the concept work on desktop and everything. So just a quick note there. So here's what we're going to do in like the next 20, 25 minutes. We're going to tell you a little bit about how we got to this concept, then go through some user scenarios, talk about some design principles, a brief note on technology, and then we're going to have as much time as possible for feedback and questions. Yeah, so we want to explain how we got to where we are. We've known for over a year that Greenpeace needs to do a bit better at sort of showcasing and amplifying the strength of our community and offices around the world. And we know that our digital presence needs to be a bit modernized. So in order to sort of live the 7 shifts and the framework, we kind of needed to change the way that we talk about our work. And we set really ambitious goals. So those goals are, you know, we want to convert users to becoming repeated users of Greenpeace.org. So we've seen that a lot of people come to Greenpeace.org for one specific thing, but then they don't return. We want to convert existing members and supporters to more deeply involved change agents. And we want to explain the vision of the movement and provide tools that empower people to take independent actions. So these are kind of the design challenges that we set out. Like how do we actually, you know, help people become more deeply involved with Greenpeace? How do we help people or inspire people to come back over and over again? And how can we actually provide a tool stack to web editors and developers and creators inside of Greenpeace that helps us spread the vision of the movement? So with these challenges in mind, we set to work to understand them and to sort of think about the perspective of the potential users. So we did tons of research. We used the values-based segmentation and big listening research. We talked to colleagues. We conducted interviews. We talked to supporters, volunteers, and the public. And we know that we needed to design Planet 4 around different needs. So this is kind of the basis of user-centric design. So each of these archetypes represents a relatively distinctive group of people who might visit a website or use a product or a service. And based on the research, these are really focused on the key motivations, goals, and behaviors that are relevant specifically to Planet 4. We're going to get to know these archetypes in the user scenarios. So once we had the archetypes, we started thinking about what can people do with Greenpeace, what might they want to do, and we sort of looked at what are the potential pain points of their journey with us. So once we understand what a current user journey is in taking action with Greenpeace, we could really determine what the opportunity spaces might be. Where can we improve those journeys? So the concept that we're presenting really takes into account the goals, the archetypes, and the design prompts based on our research and our open methodologies to help produce a concept that we think meets the project's core goals. And like I said at the very beginning of the webinar, if you don't have enough time to read the slides, don't worry, because we'll give you the link and you can take your time sort of looking through it. So we say that Greenpeace is just a word and that the people behind it are our power. We have an organizational story that offers help to the people. It says, want to take down a giant? We'll find you a slingshot. Got an idea? We'll give you a way to pitch it or the resources to run it or a communications rocket to launch it around the world. Want to band together with others? We'll give you online and offline space to meet and plan, provide you with tips and tricks, training, and share our 40 years of experience in creating change. And so that's what we are trying to do with this creative concept, give people the slingshot and the rocket and the space that people need to act on behalf of our planet. So we're going to take you through some user scenarios. This is Stuart. Stuart represents the steward archetype. He is married with 2 kids. He regularly notices news stories about things like carcinogenic sunscreen ingredients or runoff from a nearby factory, and he sort of has an ongoing anxiety about his family's health. So following an ad that he found placed on a consumer rating site, he eventually ends up on Greenpeace.org for a toxic campaign. There's an option to follow the campaign as well as a set of specific actions that he can take to help. So we want to make it clear why every action matters and approximately how much of a commitment that it's going to take. So Stuart didn't actually know that he could make a difference, and he's happy that there's an action that doesn't seem super tricky. It's interesting, valuable, and it's really not that hard. So he clicks through to a page that has a step-by-step guide on how to do the action, and he has an option there to share it with others. But the first step is easy enough, and he sort of says, okay, I'm going to give it a go. So a couple days later, we haven't heard from Stuart, and so we give him a gentle nudge. He taps through, completes the first step, and the next step asks him to go to a store and do something which he doesn't have time for at the moment. But there's an option to be reminded when he's near a store or near the relevant store. And for other actions, that could be a reminder that takes place at a certain time, or a reminder to do a certain thing online, like send out a tweet or post something to Facebook at a certain time. So a few days go by, and we see he's in the right location, and we say, hey, Stuart, you're there. Can you do this for us? And he completes the step and lets us know that he's done it. And when he's finished, Greenpeace sends him a heartfelt thank you with more things that he can do, other ways to get involved, and asks him if he'd like to challenge his friends or his family to follow his lead. This is Evangeline. She lives at home. She attends a local college. She's a heavy social media user, and she thinks of herself as the conscience of her group of friends. Having once signed a petition about e-waste, Evangeline receives occasional Greenpeace tech-related emails. One email mentions a new Greenpeace report. She thinks it looks kind of cool, so she shares it with her friends. On the post about the report, Evangeline sees the sharing icon, but she also sees an option that's labeled, "What can I do?" She clicks, sees a list of possible actions, and each is described briefly why it matters, gives an estimate of the impact and the time commitment. She sees that she can make a call in just 5 minutes, and since she likes to speak her mind, she taps through, and we explain why the call will make a difference. We give her a script, and we help her find the number, make it really easy for her to make that phone call. So after she calls, after she shares the report, again, Evangeline gets a nice warm thank you, which suggests additional actions. And she likes the idea of challenging a friend, so she does. Finally, this is Webster. Webster is in charge of Greenpeace India's website. He's not super technical, but he knows how to copy and paste code and visuals. He usually doesn't have a lot of time because he works for Greenpeace and none of us have any time. He gets an email from an oceans campaigner telling him about the latest spotlight moment. He's invited to an engagement planning call, and in the call, Robin from Greenpeace Mexico shares what the ocean campaign looks like on his site and provides some links to a toolkit. And so Webster has everything he needs to get to work. He can create a petition, he writes a blog that's specific for his NRO, puts PR, press release on greenpeace.org, and he can reference the toolkit. So a toolkit can include anything from a GitHub repo to design and code templates, style guides, something like Rocket Chat channels for support, whatever campaigners need and can include for the public, we can put in the toolkit. So when Webster creates his blog post, he uploads an image directly from the media library, and he uses, for example, a meme maker plugin to add text. So you can publish the meme on the blog, share it on Facebook. This is just an example, but what we really want to do is give campaigns a mechanism for asking for people power alongside of other campaign initiatives like fundraising or list building. We want to create a way that web editors across Greenpeace can really use their creativity and create some really good shareable content. So the concept aims to show the positive vision of Greenpeace by showing how great the planet could be and by highlighting clear and lightweight activities that anyone can do. We want to help activists by amplifying the work of national and regional offices and by showcasing locations, individuals, organizations that are meaningful to NROs, to individuals. And then, of course, we also want to create an adaptable and flexible tool stack by utilizing open source technologies and frameworks and by creating templates and remixable resources for NROs. So these user stories illustrate sort of the 4 principles that serve as a thread throughout the design concept. At first, some of these things might feel a little bit uncomfortable because they're radically different from what we've done in the past. And they might seem hard to implement because this concept is really ambitious, but it's also totally possible. So with the new engagement platform, the Planet 4 team is aiming to help Greenpeace audiences take action. This is really the focus of the platform. Greenpeace is certainly present, but the organization takes a step back to allow other people to be the hero. The creative concept will help share the vision of Greenpeace through achievable actions. Of course, we're going to use the platform to communicate Greenpeace's vision, but again, the focus is on action. So for Planet 4, this means that when we talk about something that Greenpeace has done, or for our vision for the future, we always link to something that the user can do. We're helping people act, and so we need to provide instructions, reminders, encouragement. We build activism into every audience member's context and routine through personalized support, location awareness, timely notifications, and we want to do this with respect for privacy and provide options for anonymity as well, wherever possible. We want to sort of expand what we mean by taking action, so using taxonomies and integrating tagging procedures into campaign planning. So for example, by asking campaigns to tag certain things in certain ways using Smartsheet or other tools that campaigns are already using. This will allow us to expose new rationale present in high-level campaign planning and integrate real-world data into the platform. So we're thinking really simple tags like, is the action online or offline? Is it easy or hard? Is it an action or a mindset? Is it safe versus radical? These kinds of categorizations can help us build a library of actions that real people are doing around the world. So we can and should experiment with how we frame our content. On the previous slide, they were framed, these actions were framed in terms of outcome, whereas here they're framed more in terms of the action itself. We can and should do A/B testing, so that's all part of the Planet 4 project, like thinking about how do we need to say things to get people to act. For Planet 4, what it really means, people power is social. We want to help motivate people and help people motivate each other. And so for Planet 4, this means that users can encourage people that they know to take action. The platform is going to help people act alongside others, and it provides a way to allow audiences to share skills and get guidance from each other. And so, like I said, we want to encourage people they know. That's kind of meta, but what we're talking about is letting our users challenge each other. Challenges can be social and fun. We want to find ways that people can motivate each other by sharing stories or reasoning. And the platform really kind of tries to use social norming and the fear of missing out, which are two motivators that we've seen validated in various research initiatives. So we aim to allow users to create their own challenges and petitions and campaigns. We really want to empower people to be creative on behalf of their communities and the planet. And since we want to create a platform that helps us strengthen our own community and related networks, users can also share their skills to serve as mentors to others. And learning from others will really help us establish connections and strengthen the network. So users are asked to do a ton, and Planet 4 really aims to help people understand why actions matter. So the platform will explain how we succeed and what success looks like. So clarity of vision doesn't just mean that we share a vision of the future, but also that we give people visibility into the why and the how we intend to get there. So on Planet 4, this means that we make it clear why an action matters. We show progress and impact, and we're going to try to avoid jargon. So we really want to get better at showing impact, and we envision ways to sort of visualize impact with profiles, contextual dashboards, stats, visual representations. So making it clear why an action matters also means that we contextualize donations and help our organization really sort of show how we survive. So following the latest fundraising best practices, donations will have its core perspective in terms of physical impact it makes and how it helps Greenpeace to achieve its goals. And there's simple WordPress plugins and modules that will help us with online donations, so they'll be easy and secure. By organizing our work around the idea that it's people power that makes campaigns successful, we'll be able to showcase the reach and the impact of the community at a global scale. We have the data, so we really want to show it because we really want to show how an individual impacts the collective whole. So while campaigns might be global, every location has unique motivations and meaning. So the platform really wants to help identify local opportunities for change making. So this means geographically, but it also means local to where people are online. We will meet people where they are, meaning that we're going to use Facebook and Co. to integrate online campaign initiatives directly into the platform. We haven't forgot about storytelling and connection. We think that personal responsibility, community engagement, and the stories from people across the Greenpeace ecosystem are really inspiring, and we want to inspire action by showing meaningful examples and putting those meaningful examples alongside of instructions, lessons, challenges, things that we've learned. Greenpeace is diverse and global, and so we want to make sure that we enable distributed creation. So what's going on in Russia is not the same thing that's happening in Brazil, and we want to make sure that the platform allows those offices across the world to modify the way that Planet 4 works for them and their specific audiences. So we'll provide remixable templates. Our team, the Planet 4 team, will be helping NROs use the platform in a way that really engages their audiences. And we're really thinking a lot about the potential for customization. So it goes beyond sort of extending or switching themes, but also into adding, removing, mixing specific modules and components based on whatever it is that NROs want to do. So a brief note about technology. We thought how the code needs to be separated to be able to do this. We'll separate it between plugin themes, child themes, and this kind of structure will really help us have flexible customization that continues to have a sort of a core set of reusable code. So we are putting like a lot of thought into how the infrastructure needs to work to do what we are proposing to do. And as I said at the beginning, we are designing our sites to be mobile first, but not mobile only. They need to be equally accessible on all devices. And a quick note about design, our consensus has been that we want to have a look and feel that's more minimalist and contemporary. That visual language still needs to be developed. That's the next phase of the Planet 4 project. We're going to begin creating a new aesthetic for Greenpeace. And we're also thinking about integrations. So integrations with pre-existing Greenpeace tools become apparent when we look deeper into this concept. So every place that you, for example, the way that it's highlighted here, we're really thinking about, okay, how do we use these other tools that we have in a way that's seamless for the user? So we still intend to do list building with engaging networks or, using Greenpeace X to do petitions and campaigns and that kind of stuff. And we're thinking about how do we pull data between our different tools in a way that the user doesn't notice. So that's a little bit about what's happening at the back end. So we're thinking about embedding content that's built in another platform, data exchange, single sign-on, all the integrations between Planet 4 and the other tools. That's a huge part of this project. So as I said at the beginning, we are doing quite a few webinars. We're also really hoping that everybody gets involved, takes a survey, takes a little bit of time over the next couple of weeks to really look at this concept. And now I will shut up and we will talk about it. Yeah?